a few day trips these last few months. Last week, Military Road, Niagara Falls, New York. 2 months ago, Grove City, Pennsylvania. Each time the border dude says, how much did you spend? Each time the Farr family says exactly $100 on your way back to Canada. It's a terrific deal, and the car's just loaded with fine clothes. The question tonight for you, how has this soaring buck affected your life? We're examining that strong Canuck buck and the effect it's had on business, the effect it's had on manufacturing, and of course on government. It's been the rage for some time now. And a big question for you tonight, how has this soaring Canuck buck had an effect on you? 905-645-3232 or opinion@cable14.com. 905-645-3232 is the number to call. Okay, joining Loren Leiberman at the desk tonight, small business owner and recent Conservative candidate Tara Crugnale is back with us. Landlord and former Hamilton City Councillor Ron Corsini is back with us. It's nice to see our old friend, the feminist Trekkie blogger Joe Pavlov, back at the desk tonight. And with that, how has this soaring Canuck buck affected you, Loren Leiberman?
Thank you, Mr. Farr. Well, unlike yourself, Jason, I'm far too patriotic and concerned with the economy of this country to take my dollar south of the border. I wouldn't do that, and I value Canadian employment and our economy far too much to do so. Just kidding. I just haven't made my way down there yet. I think it's a bit of a misnomer to suggest that we have a soaring loonie, as opposed to the reality of the situation is that we have a sinking U.S. dollar, that the Canadian dollar is not necessarily on fire compared to other world currency. Its currency is measured against the U.S. dollar, and that's where the problem seems to be. Tara?
Oh, I thank you, Loren. I guess I'm going to echo your sentiments. I remember even going down to the States back in 2002 when the dollar was 62, 65 cents. There were no lineups at that point at the border. I was there on Sunday, and I only experienced waits of about 10 minutes, but I guess I missed the big rush, because even this Sunday was 2-hour wait at the border. A week before that, 6 hours, and Canadians are suggesting there's some sort of conspiracy by the Canadian government to somehow punish people for going across the border to shop. But you know, at this point, there are some deals to be had across the border, so I think that we can all accept that. How is it affecting retailers? I myself am a retailer, and I purchase goods, as do most retailers, about 6 months to a year in advance of different seasons. Let's say I'll be purchasing for next Christmas in January, so I'm not able to send over any savings to the clients. But the dollar is really volatile at this point. It was up at 110. It's dropped to 104. It's going to continue to drop as the U.S. greenback gets stronger. Joe?
Well, my opinion's twofold, I guess, much in line with you guys, shockingly. Of course, it's less to do with the fact that the loonie is soaring and way more to do with the fact that the U.S. greenback is tanking, and the U.S. economy is tanking. So, of course, as a cross-border shopper, feminist blogger, cross-border shopper that I am.
And Trekkie.
And Trekkie. I'm a cross-border shopping fiend. I go probably every payday. And yeah, much like Tara, back in the day when it was 66 cents, we just shrugged and kind of did the mental math and thought, well, you know what, it's worth it because the selection was that much better and it was just a fun day out. But looming in the background here is this horror show that is the American economy is tanking, and when the American economy tanks, Canadian economy is usually not too far behind. Now, the interesting thing is that I think this recent sink has been precipitated by the U.S. subprime mortgage situation, which we can talk about a little bit later. But so many Americans are in debt up to their eyeballs with credit card debt, and then got a mortgage on top of it. Banks are going bankrupt all over the place. People are losing their homes left, right, and center. The problems are huge in the U.S. And luckily, Canada hasn't had to deal with that too much because we don't have the same mortgage situation on our hands. So the shopper in me loves shopping. I'm a little bit creeped out by what might happen down the pipe. But yeah, let's go shopping in the meantime.
Right. Thanks, Joe. Well, this is great for the the consumer, and terrible for retailers and manufacturers in Canada. Manufacturing sector in Canada was booming because people were coming over here with the U.S. dollar and purchasing made in Canada items, and we're getting a real bargain. But now those manufacturers are having to charge a lot more, and the customers are having to pay a lot more because our dollar is so high. And the dollar is geared to the oil industry. Once the oil goes up, the dollar goes up because we're an oil-rich nation. But you know what? The consumer is going to win out, and the consumer is going to force retailers to bring those prices down. Tara, you know it's going to happen that you're not going to be. In order for you to stay in business, your prices are going to have to reflect some of the changes in the dollar. Cars, for example, a cousin of mine just purchased, he picked it up today, a 2008 Ford Edge. He bought it in Buffalo. He saved over $9,000. And I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, was there a lot of trouble you had to go through to purchase, a lot of paperwork, a lot of running back with customs? And he said no, he was so surprised how easy the whole process was. The car has to be modified a little bit with daylight lighting, lights on it, but no big great deal. He could take it to Canadian Tire and they could do it in an hour. See, the whole idea is this vehicle. This vehicle is manufactured in Oakville, okay, sent across the border and sold down there for $10,000 less than what Canadians have to pay for it. Another funny thing is the destination charge, which everyone pays on a new vehicle, is $1,250 here from Oakville to Hamilton. Over there in Buffalo, it's $750. I don't know why we are having to pay that much more. I mean, the price has got to be a little closer. $9,000, you would go.
Is it taxation or no? It's actual profit in the pocket of Ford.
I don't know. I don't know if part of it's taxes, or I mean, he paid the taxes at the border.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do. But Ron, there's one thing. I mean, the manufacturing sector absolutely is going to be losing out in this.
Oh, absolutely.
But we have to touch on the resource sector. We've got oil, wheat. Gold, diamonds. Like Canada's doing fantastic nowadays. With this change of fortune for the Americans. But we do have a caller on the line. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi. What did you have to say? Well, I want to say on the subject.
Well, I'm on a fixed income, and the dollar's too high for me to pay my bills.
The dollar's too high for you to pay your bills.
How do your bills change?
When it went up, all my stuff went down, like my fixed income and that.
Is your fixed income paid to you in U.S. dollars?
No, it's Canadian dollars. It's OSDP.
Okay, like my bills haven't changed since the dollars. Like my gas bill's pretty much the same. My
I can't. I haven't heard of this yet.
Maybe just rising costs in the energy sector. Maybe your heating bills or your electricity bills may have gone up, but that's just a natural progression of increases, and we've all paid. All Canadians have paid those increases, but that has nothing to do with the rising Canadian dollar.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I know it's getting colder outside. Everything's going up.
Yeah, well, sure. Now you're having to pay heat, and those costs they're high for everyone. But when we look back, I don't believe that there is a listener, a viewer out there that has not taken advantage of the high dollar, either through internet purchases, through eBay, or cross-border shopping. 2 weeks ago, there were that 6-hour wait. That was like the perfect storm. You had 100 buses. These buses are, and this goes on every single weekend. There are buses, 10 to 20 buses, loaded with female shoppers. Not very many males that take those buses. Loaded with female shoppers, and go down and spend 3 days in the States on shopping excursions. And it's every single weekend. That particular weekend, 2 weeks ago, there were 100 buses coming across the border. At the one border, at the Rainbow Bridge in Buffalo. And the Bills game, all the fans coming back to Canada from the Bills game, and everyone else trying to crowd, and they were just so overwhelmed.
You know what, though? I want to touch on something Loren said at the beginning, which he was kidding, but saying, I'm not going to spend my money in the U.S., I'm a proud Canadian. And interestingly, I know a lot of people who hold that view honestly. They honestly will not shop. Because I cross-border shop so frequently, I'll take people with me. I'll say, I'm going on Saturday, who wants to come? And people will say, not me. I do not want to spend my money in the U.S. I want to keep it Canadian.
I've not met many of those people.
I've met quite a few.
I have not met many of those people at all. I know people that shop across the border every single. They'll go on a weekly basis.
I think the eBay thing actually made me laugh, because I know how many of us shop on eBay, and you see that number where you see the U.S. price, and then you see the Canadian price, and when it flipped for the first time, there was a sense of giddiness. Oh my God, we're getting a deal.
I'm getting an image in my head of you at that computer.
Walk into the Hallmark store and grab yourself a card and offer to pay the American card price.
Ah, yes, bookstore. Books and cards, I know were
and they won't take it.
I mean, it's totally unfair why a book costs $5 cheaper in U.S. dollars, and it's $5 more in Canadian dollars.
I don't know. Well, even with the LCBO, there was a call for them to lower their prices, but the same they had the same problem that I have. They purchase their alcohol a year in advance. So if we paid premium price at that point, why are we going to lose money now by offering something for a lower price? And I think in my type of business, where I do gift baskets, home decor, my business won't be as affected as, let's say, the manufacturing side, like cars, like clothing. That's what people are looking at when they're going across the border.
Yeah, but they're also looking at the $2.50 bra that my wife just bought down there. Like, look at this bargain, and something the same bra up here costs $25.
Yeah, it's sometimes tenfold.
She always gets bargains down there.
The prices are unbelievably more expensive here. I'm a little concerned about the we were just talking briefly about the manufacturing sector is going to take a hit. Now, Canadian company that produces widgets and pays Canadian employees in Canadian dollars, now all of a sudden is trying to sell that product to a U.S. market who doesn't want to buy it. It's too expensive. And they're going to be laying off. I think they've already laid off auto workers. I don't know if it's related or not. With the whole Chrysler plant situation.
Well, I think this is just another nail in the coffin, though, for them.
North American auto manufacturers.
Because things have been happening for the past couple of years. We've seen a lot of
you know what, though? You only hear, in every situation, there's winners and losers, and you only hear the screaming of the losers. You're not hearing the import sector going, woohoo!
You're hearing the export.
Right. And there's yes, we are...
I guess if you're a Joe Blow working at a Canadian manufacturing plant, though, and you've just lost your job, you don't have any Canadian dollars in your pocket now to buy these cheaper American goods. And it's that trickle-down effect or whatever.
But the manufacturing sector is dying as it is.
In Canada.
The unions are getting too big. They're demanding too much. Let's go there. Let's go there. And so already the companies are running across the border. They're going to Mexico. It's too expensive to do business in Canada. Discuss.
So, and you know what? And even more so, because of the Canadian dollar going up, it's not. Before it was too expensive to do business in Canada, but even now with the rising dollar, and I do believe that the dollar will go back. I mean, this is an adjustment recently in the last couple of days where the dollar took a plunge from $1.10 or $1.09, wherever it was at, back to $1.03.50 to 4 cents.
I mean, that's a huge drop.
I believe that it'll go back up, and I don't know for how long. Maybe after the presidential election in the U.S. will things settle, or the subloan, the loans in the States, which is affecting the economy, I think, worldwide, because the states, when the states starts coughing, everyone else catches a cold, and that's the whole economy. And I hear governments saying, well, we have to do something about it. They can't do anything about it because this is worldwide monetary fund where one country just can't control it unless we start, and our dollar is floating. So
well, what do you think? Do we adjust the interest rate? And when I say do we, it's not up to the government, it's up to the Bank of Canada.
Yes. And the Bank of Canada is going to look at all facets. I don't think the Bank of Canada is just going to start, fooling around with interest rates and hope everything's going to be okay after that. I don't think that that's the only piece of the puzzle.
Well, no, because I think I read somewhere that even a fluctuation of 1% on the interest rate would, at the most, affect the Canadian dollar by about 5 cents. And the problem that we have with this bloated Canadian dollar goes way beyond 5 cents.
And you've got Ontario clamoring. I know Dalton McGuinty came out clamoring for the interest rate adjustment, but of course Alberta does not want that interest rate adjustment because Alberta's swimming in cash right now, being
resource rich. There you go.
Yeah, it's great for anyone that's going to be traveling across the border this winter for the snowbirds, spending some time in Florida. This is going to be a godsend. I know my sister has a daughter who's going to school in New York City at Columbia, and when she first got accepted there, she was really worried about the cost of sending her daughter to a university in the States. Not only the cost of living, having to rent an apartment for $2,000 a month, but all the tuition and all that. But now this has been
it's helping.
It's helping a lot.
You're hearing
expenses.
You're hearing like Zellers and Walmart, Canadian Zellers, coming out saying we're going to reduce some prices on some items. I remember reading that headline and laughing and thinking, what prices on what items?
But is Walmart across the board? But they've
I don't know about that.
20%.
Oh, 20%?
No, not across the board.
No, some items.
Oh, that was a
items.
sale or something like that.
Okay, even home downtown Hamilton Hart Department Store has a sale for 3 days. They took 20% off of everything.
They're clamoring for customers, I guess. I wonder if they're really feeling the pinch.
Well, I think those type of companies would.
Do you think Hart's clientele is cross-border shopping?
No.
No.
No, you look at some of the car dealerships on Upper James with signs, cars at U.S. prices. I still don't believe that. And I think our prices for automobiles have come down a little bit. Not every car you're going to be saving money on by going across the border. I think it's the higher end cars that there is spectacular savings. If you're looking in the market for
Jag or something.
Jag or Mercedes, a Cadillac, something of that nature, then you're going to save some money. But if it's a middle of the road car, it's your best bet is to buy it here because you have to pay cash for it over there too. You can't go over there and lease it, or you can't go over there and pay it on time. It has to be
so
cash.
Who's got that kind of cash
lying
lying
a lot of
around?
people don't have that kind of, or they can
put on your credit card,
borrow the money from a Canadian bank and take it across. They could do that. But I still believe that there are a lot of people out there watching this show tonight that have gone across the border shopping, and I'd like to hear some of your bargains, or is it a bargain?
Or horror stories of trying to get back.
You know what, speaking of the border itself, I think at the beginning of the show, Jay said something along the lines of, I have $100, I declared $100, but I really have hundreds of dollars. And I think this is an interesting point, because
what a bad man that Jason Barr is.
No, he told the truth.
But as a long time,
to us, not to customs.
As a long time cross-border shopper, I can say I've learned tricks over the years, and one of them is to just be honest. And you know what? Even if I have to pay tax on $300, I'm still getting a deal at this point in the game.
They're waiting to see if you've got a couple of cartons of cigarettes or a couple of bottles of vodka in the back.
And lately, you know what? Over the years, it used to be if I declared 150, I got dinged. If I declared 95, I wouldn't.
It all depends on who you get. You could say I spent $500 and it's happened, and they say, okay.
No, but at the end of the day, it pays to be honest, because to pay an extra $50, $60 in tax, you might as well do it instead of being marked for every other time that you go across.
There's a rumor going around though that since there are so many shoppers going in droves, the Canadian and I don't actually know why they've done this, but they're not being as stringent. I think you can get away with $300, $400, $500
sure you can.
in a way that you couldn't before.
Yeah. Depends on how the guy.
When you declare it, declared $300.
The customs guard, depending how his day went.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even the Spectator today had an interesting story. People waiting for 2 hours in the cold.
Yeah.
Braving the elements.
There you go, braving the elements. Clearly they didn't go on the Lewiston Bridge.
More appeal for
Joe, 2-for-1 Adidas at the Grove City outlet for $35. I swear to God, maybe I was $5 over, but I'm not claiming that $5. I wanted to be on my way back home to Canada. It's a great place to shop. I have a friend who just returned from New York City just this past weekend, where he bought a $22 hamburger. I don't care about our Canadian buck. He's the loony in that scenario. Doesn't matter what country you're in or what our value is. How has this soaring loonie affected you? Our question tonight, live here on the Opinionators. There's more after this. 645-3232. We want you to call now or email opinion@cable14.com. We closed at $1.04 today over the U.S. greenback. What's the deal there? Great deals in the States, Loren. In fact, especially on ties.
Because mine all come from Italy, but thanks for the tip. As far as cross-border shopping goes, back in the days when it was 60-some-odd cents, it wasn't necessarily about the deal. It was about the experience, the making a day of it, the
chicken wings and pizza.
The better
The
level of
Applebee's.
friendly service.
You're absolutely right.
Yes, is
You're
that fair to
absolutely
say?
right.
Selection.
Absolutely
I would
right.
say selection. I would say going into
Selection.
a
And the
Target
novelty of
Yep.
being in a
Yeah.
foreign country. It's
That's
very
true.
exciting.
and not knowing what your ones from your fives and
No, there was always a whole lot more
You're
to it.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the selection there is a lot better than it
Well,
is
selection's based on population, and
here. Yeah, I mean Niagara Falls, New York.
And you know what else? It's a different shopping experience. Coupons are a really big thing in the U.S. And my friend buys the Buffalo News, and we clip the coupons, and you can get like like you said, a $2.50 bra. You can you can actually get money back. I've actually had a coupon
Yes.
for $2.
Oh,
the item was
gosh.
$1.75.
They give you money back.
People take this very seriously, Tara. I work with a bunch of ladies
I
that are
understand, but I mean, even
hard
looking at the
into it.
comments, from word on the street, and what Ron was saying, for people already to be saying, well, I'm not seeing the savings with our retailers, so I'm running across the border. Seriously, how can we be showing you savings
You're
at
right.
this
And
point?
it's too
It's
early.
not a fair. It just isn't fair.
It's too early.
It is
really
way too early.
if you want my business, Tara, you're going to have to tighten up somewhere and show me the savings, because
the book situation was a very glaring one because of the two
Yeah.
prices embossed right on the cover, and that's hard for people to stomach, a $5 difference.
I know, but again, I'm assuming that Canadian retailers purchase those books at
And
a
I think
particular
chapters.
price.
Well,
and
no,
I think
don't-
chapters have adjusted all.
But
their
they're
book
a
prices.
giant. They're a
They're
giant
unconfined.
company.
let's go back to the phones. Our next caller is Anne. Anne, please go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
I'd just like to give my opinion tonight. I will not shop in the States.
Good for you.
If I do shop in the States, you're going to be paying the highest price for the stuff that you got in the States. You're going to be ending up getting caught. And what's the big deal of shopping in the States than shopping in Canada?
And have you ever shopped in the States?
No, I have never shopped in the States, and I never will shop in the States.
Well,
because
and it's-
why should I give them my Canadian money?
She's got the attitude I was talking about earlier. I know a lot of people like you,
Yeah,
Anne.
don't.
why should I give them my
Passionate
Canadian
viewpoint.
money where I have to pay over here, they're Canadian, they're USA, for a book that costs more than what Canadians is? I disagree.
Okay.
I guess
Thank
because-
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I guess because the price was lower historically. Now it's like now to shop pardon me, it was more historically.
The Canadian price was always more
Yeah.
than the American price.
Yeah, the
Now
Canadian price was more, but then to
Yeah.
go across, pay the exchange,
And the
come
gas to
back,
get
pay
there.
the tax extra. At the end of the day, you didn't save anything.
Yeah, I
whereas,
still
you know,
think that there are huge savings to be had across the border.
Did you hear the passion in her voice, though? She really refuses to shop cross-border. I know so many people like that. It's a Canadian pride thing, I think, and also an anti-American sentiment to a certain extent.
well, it's dangerous to cross the border. People get shot.
Oh, you hear that
yeah,
one? Yep,
it's
I've
better.
heard
It's better
that.
to stay over here. It is better to stay over here.
Why don't you just go to the parking lots in any of the malls, whether it's the Walden Galleria Mall in Buffalo or the Outlet Mall in Niagara Falls, New York. Go to the parking lot and check the license plates out on the cars.
They're all Canadian.
They're all Canadian cars, all of them. At least 75% of the cars in those parking lots are Canadian. Now, the big shopping day is the day after
Black Friday.
the day after Thanksgiving. And I know many people
So do
that
I.
are planning to go down that. And what they do is
They open at
camp.
midnight.
The stores open at midnight, and some of them are open 24 hours, or they'll camp outside the store before they open in the morning.
It
If they
is
Well,
open at
this is
spooky.
the,
I
it's,
don't
a, it's
deny
the
that.
You know, to
largest.
get a
It's the
laptop
largest
computer for
holiday.
$199.
It's the largest holiday. This is bigger than the Christmas
It's
rush.
the one where
bigger,
little old
bigger
ladies
than
get
Boxing Day.
Little old ladies get trampled in an effort to get your $2 MP3 player.
Let's go to the fifth opinionator. Our regular caller is back with us, our friend Dante. Dante, please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm 81 years old, so the dollar don't bother me. But I'm sorry for the young people. Because if the Canadians don't get smart, go spend all their money in the States, we are going to have a big recession here. And the question is this, the world has changed. the United States have so much debt, over $9 trillion debts. And it's not like in the past. In the past they had the money, the debts with the American people. They bought the bond. But today, those American bonds are owned by the Chinese, by the Japanese, the Saudi Arabian. And if so the American dollar will never go much higher anymore, as long as they have all these debts. And if in case China will start to exchange this money, we will have a lot of trouble. I do believe the Canadian government, when the people go shopping in the United States and come back in Canada, should put the surcharge 30%.
30%?
Yeah, plus the GST and the provision, so they shop in Canada, not in the States.
I understand what Dante's saying.
Well, thank you,
Canada, we are a different nation. Why the people think that we are only one nation? We are not the same nation.
It's true. Dante and I are often on the same page, I've noticed. He makes an amazing, he makes a great point, which is that the U.S. economy is as deep in debt as you could, trillions of dollars in debt. The average consumer debt is something like 5 digits. Besides
it's
that,
not only
a $1.6 trillion estimate from the Democrats today
for the war
thus far.
Okay, I'm talking about consumer credit card debt, where the average American has $40,000 or $50,000 in credit card debt, not to mention a mortgage that they probably got at subprime rates.
And that was always crazy to me. You know, the idea of buying a house with no money down.
Oh, they give you money.
Or
to
they
furnish.
give
You can do that here in Canada, buy a house.
But in the States, I've heard of that here in Canada.
I actually attempted to get a mortgage with no money down, and I got accepted, and then there was like one tiny black mark on my credit history, like an unpaid dental bill from the early 90s, I'm not kidding, and I got CMHC rejected me.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? Good thing they did, because I didn't really need the house anyway.
I mean, if you can't afford to put any money down, then perhaps you're not in the financial position to buy that sort of house. But a lot of people in the States, they just don't even think about it. But don't kid yourself. A lot of Canadians are in substantial debt as well.
I read the number, though, that it's a I think something like 5% of the Canadian mortgages are subprime. 20% in the U.S. were subprime, which means more people owe more than the house is worth.
So if you want to buy that house in Florida, now is the time to buy it, because your Canadian dollar is going to go a long way, because the house,
actually,
then you'll find a bankruptcy sale down there.
Exactly, the housing market in the States is crashing
badly.
You can get a real bargain.
There was a fellow,
in Florida,
one of the headlines on CBC the other day was a fellow in the U.S., I think in Phoenix, is offering, if you buy his house, he will also, he's a childless man, him and his wife don't have children, don't have heirs. If you buy his house, he will write you into his will and give you his fortune. That's how desperate he's become. It's a large home, and it's having a hard time selling it, because it's people don't have that kind of money to buy $1 million home in that part of Phoenix or whatever it was.
You know, before we get too off track, I wanted to jump back to something that Dante had mentioned, and he said that he was very angry at Canadians for going across the border to shop. But we
live in a free country.
But not only that. I mean, it's something I think that's special to the Golden Horseshoe area. Right now, we're only an hour away from the border.
Yeah. I mean, you look at along the border.
People in Ottawa aren't driving down.
No, but 95% of all Canadians are an hour
from the border.
Look at all the people in Montreal.
I think this is an Ontario.
No, it's right across Canada.
It's headlines.
The people in Northern Ontario, for example, are not cross-border shopping.
But they're eBaying. They're eBaying.
Yeah.
That's where we're a global economy now.
The UPS, all those parcel delivery services, they're swamped with cross-border shopping. You don't have to drive across the border. You could just go on your computer and buy things on your computer, pay in Canadian dollars, and buy a U.S. product, and you're getting the discounts.
Oh, it's huge. When I used to live in the Arctic, we mail-ordered stuff all the. I mean, just as an extreme example of a severe northern town, you mail-ordered everything anyway. Yeah. So why the heck not just take advantage of the low U.S. dollar?
And a lot of people shop by computer.
Now,
a lot of people do.
Do you think Hamiltonians are more likely to cross the border than Torontonians, as we have an hour head start?
I know a lot of people in Toronto that do it.
Yeah.
It's about, when you come over the Skyway and you speed, it's about, I think, an hour 20 from Toronto, maybe 45 minutes.
As long as it's not over 50 kilometers over the speed limit, then you won't have a car. Episode. Anyway, it would be great to hear from more people that have purchased big-ticket items in the States, and to give us some info on that. It's 645-3232 is the number to call. Ron's friend bought a car.
Yeah, cousin. Yeah,
Wow.
my wife, Marissa's cousin, Frankie, Tony.
Saved
No.
Frank, Tony, he's going to know that you don't even remember his name.
And he saved $9,000.
He saved $9,000 by,
astronomical.
but he's not the only one that has purchased big ticket items like that across the board.
Actually, you've
there are a
heard-
lot of people that are buying. Now there are some manufacturers in the States, in Michigan, that are saying no. If you
They will
if
not.
you know that the car is going to be going back to Canada, do not sell them the car.
I think
Honda
that's-
and I think
yeah,
Toyota
Yeah, a few
are
of them
doing
have
it
done
over there. But in Buffalo, this was a Ford dealership, and they knew where the car was going because they get inquiries every day.
Yeah, there's a class action lawsuit based on the pricing.
Yeah, that's going on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are we paying that much more? We should not be paying more for a car that's built in Canada, not only for a car, for any other manufactured item that's made in Canada, exported to the U.S., and we're being paid more. And I feel like we're being cheated.
Yeah, and we've got another caller on the line. Craig, are you there?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Good,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, listen, about the cross-border shopping thing, I went down with a girlfriend about 15 years ago because then it was a big thing. Oh, yeah, let's go down and go. We get all these deals and all that stuff. But, like, I went down for the day, and I went once. And I came back, and I was exhausted, and I just said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, it costs, unless you're right close to the border, right? You know, I mean, okay, you drive from Hamilton here down, so it's going to take you 40 minutes to get to the Niagara Falls, right?
Yep.
And then wait 6 hours at the border to get across. I mean,
Well,
I'm
not
not,
That was an anomaly,
necessarily.
though, Craig.
you know what I mean?
15 years ago,
even
how
an
long
hour
did you
and a
wait?
half. I mean, I would just sit there and go, that's it, I'm turning around and going home. This is nonsense. What, to go save a couple of bucks? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
If you've got to go any distance at all with the price of gas, whether it's here in the United States, all you got to do is the math. This isn't rocket science, folks. I don't understand the people that run down across the border. Like, I just don't get it. It's not. Number one, it's not time effective. You're gonna blow a whole day down there, unless you know somebody down there. I guess it's family.
Craig, you don't sound like a committed shopper.
Yeah,
he's not a shopper.
You're just such a guy.
It's
You
like
don't
he
have
said, it's like
the womanly
Ron said.
qualities.
These are
that
busloads of women
Thank you, Craig.
going down.
Thanks, Craig.
And they are avid shoppers. These are
Buying
women,
stuff for their men, though, Ron.
Not
Yeah, well,
necessarily.
they're going
Let's
down there
hope
and they're
so.
buying stuff for their husbands.
Yeah.
or
It's
for
boyfriends.
everybody.
It's
Well,
like
that's
Ron said, though, it's an experience, and I think a lot of people, maybe our previous caller there, didn't enjoy the experience, but a lot of people really, you know,
Of course, a lot has changed in the past 15 years.
sure.
The past. So sorry.
No, not at all. But I'm completely with Craig. I hate shopping.
Yeah, but you probably hate shopping
You
at
hate shopping
Leiberman.
here too,
Yeah,
probably.
Of course.
Well, there you go.
I do too.
But why would I make a day of it?
let alone a weekend.
No, money's to be made, not
You could trample little old
drive
ladies
for a
and
day
then,
to... No.
But it was really amusing the past couple of times I've gone down.
Yeah.
I'd be waiting in line to pay my duty, and people around me would just be so excited with their purchases.
Yeah. It's
They would be
exciting
telling
stuff.
complete strangers about
It's
the
a hunt.
bras they bought.
Sure,
Yeah, they
unlike
do.
when you come back.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like this cultural
But it's a hunt for these
phenomenon.
people.
It is.
They go on a hunt, and instead
Safari.
of shooting, an animal, they're getting a pair
They're
of shoes,
hunting
and
deals.
they're coming back with their shoes, and they show me at work. My female staff that I work with, they're showing off their new stilettos and new dresses and blouses and what have you that they all bought on a bus trip, and they all do it. They all go on bus trips.
And sure, they complained about that 6-hour wait, but they'll probably be there next month.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to stop them from
My
going down
concern,
again.
right now we're making light of it because this is a relatively new phenomena for us. The dollar we've never reached $1.10.
Yeah, not in my
We've
shopping
never,
lifetime.
No, absolutely not. This is the highest I think the Canadian dollar's ever been. Now we're at $1.04. But unfortunately, if this continues into the new year, at what point are we really going to be seeing the ramifications of this? Like,
No,
sure,
I
shopping
think
is
Christmas
fun.
is going to be
I think
hell
Christmas,
yeah.
the
Christmas
measure.
is going to
Yeah.
be measured.
If
big
Canadian
time.
retailers get
Because
hammered.
people are going down there now, and they've completed their Christmas list.
Yeah.
I know. I spoke to a woman
But
who
still,
went
I
down.
think
She
that's
got
a
all
pittance.
her
I think
items.
it's a pittance.
and
Us going across the border to shop, that's not going to be the crux of this. It's going to be the manufacturing sector. How many jobs are we going to lose?
Canadian
That's-
manufacturers.
yeah.
Or Chinese manufacturers or Japanese manufacturers, because it's not only Canadian goods that, I mean, we don't manufacture everything. I think, you know, the clothing now is coming from South Asia.
Good little children
things
for
like that. Even if it's imported from Italy, so you get a sweater that's imported from Italy, you can buy it a lot cheaper in the States than you can in Italy.
We've got another caller. Walter, are you a cross-border shopper? Tell us what you think, please.
You know what? I'm actually involved in a long-distance relationship, and I have a girlfriend in the States. And I'm a selfish person. If I can get a deal at the States, I certainly will. I'll shop till I drop. You know, this is something I wanted to ask you experts on this panel. How much is the factor with the war in America, with America's dollar going downhill?
It's playing a large factor.
Well, because
it's not the only factor,
it's
but
not the
yeah.
only factor. I think it's
But
more
it's up there.
the loans
Yeah.
that have been driving the subprime loans that have been driving the American economy spiraling downward, and the war too, and their whole debt.
Everything. Walter, one last question though. Since you're going across the border to visit your girlfriend, does it really bother you to have to wait so much longer to get across? Or have you found that to be a factor?
Well, when I see her, I saw her in the summer for a month at a time, and if I'm there, I might as well make the best of it, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Good luck with that green card.
I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
She'll be moving here,
Full
I
feet
figure.
already.
But you know what?
Thank you, Walter.
You don't have to wait at the border. Just get a Nexus card.
Yeah.
Okay,
Easy
thanks.
pass. Boom.
And you're right through.
And you're right through.
Yeah, you got to pay $50 for the Nexus Pass for a year, and everyone in the car must have Nexus.
One. Yeah.
You can't It's everyone in the car, not just the driver.
It's $50 a month?
A year.
Oh, sorry, $50 a year. And anybody can
no
get
lineups.
it?
No lineups.
You have to apply for it.
You need a
apply for it.
reason, though.
If you get caught, then they
I'm
smack
a
you.
hardcore shopper.
That's
why
a
I
reason,
listen.
though.
Is that a reason?
Sure, but then you're red flagging yourself to get pulled over to pay duty all the time.
It's on the honor system. If you purchase something, you fill out the necessary forms, you drop it in the envelope,
I
in the envelope
see.
in the box.
Really?
Yeah, and then
You're hardcore, my friend.
Well, no, because I know people that have it,
See,
and
yeah.
I asked them. I don't personally have one, but you drop it in the envelope, and they'll charge you the duty on your Visa card or whatever card that they have on file.
Really?
Now, there's kind of a gentleman's agreement.
Don't get caught trying to do, because I know somebody who got caught.
Smuggling
in
cigarettes or
Buffalo
liquor?
for Fort Erie residents, that why would you, if you lived in Fort Erie, why would you buy your groceries there or fill up for gas there? That they go back and forth without issue. Same in Windsor and Detroit.
Sure.
That nobody
People are
ever
going across
asks
every
you.
day.
You know what's interesting? Because I go so often, I think they flagged my plate for the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge. And whenever I cross in Buffalo, I get several more questions than I do when I cross in Queenston-Lewiston. And I think I usually say groceries on military.
Never say adventure.
You do purchase
Yeah, the loonie is crazy high, and our topic tonight here live on the Opinionators with you and our four Opinionators behind me. How has this soaring loonie affected your life? 905-645-3232 or opinion at cable14.com. There's more after this. 232 or opinion at cable14.com. Our question tonight, how is the soaring loonie affecting you? Closing today at $1.04, an all-time high. A couple days back at $1.10. That crazy loonie. Our topic live tonight on the Opinionators. 905-645-3232 or opinion at cable14.com. Loren?
Thanks, Jay. I am very excited about the situation of the dollar, and I'm trying to get some work done months ahead of time while the dollar is still high. That hypothetically Rockstar X for $20,000 US for the Festival of Friends.
Yes.
By the time it's all said and done, we'll be closer to 30. But now $20,000 Rockstar is like 18.
Nice.
It's
It's good for you and your business. But
Fantastic.
do your rock stars want to be paid in Canadian or
Absolutely
American
not.
dollar?
They have no idea.
No, they. What they
Oh, they don't have.
Now, what the Canadian dollar is not exactly front page of American newspapers.
No, it's monopoly money to them.
Yeah,
They still want American
They
greenbacks.
still think it's.
Oh, for
they laugh
sure.
when you say loony. They're like loony.
Yeah.
I'm quaint.
It's interesting because you know, obviously you're lining everyone up now for next year's festival, which is
way ahead of schedule, just based on the dollar.
Yeah.
And the conversation here turned to liquor over the break.
Oh,
we were just
Ron
talking
couldn't
about
stop talking
the
about it.
price
I'm
of
sensing some sort of problem
But
on
the
that
meetings
side.
are going well.
No, the price of liquor, I guess, cross-border. Now, I bought like a six-pack now and again, but I mean...
you know what, don't get caught trying to sneak it over. If you buy a bottle of liquor at the duty-free and you've only been there for the afternoon and try to bring it back, if you're caught, I don't know what, I think they confiscate it from you, but if you go over for the day and buy a case of beer at Tops or Wegmans, if you buy one case of beer on sale for $7.95 for 24 cans, bring it back, and if you tell them at the border that that's what you have, even paying the duty, the case of beer is cheaper than Lakeport.
See, I never purchase alcohol across the border because I just imagine that they'll really hit you in terms of...
You're scared at the border.
Well,
No, if you go across for 48 hours, you're allowed to bring a carton of cigarettes back and a bottle of liquor back. And I went across a month ago, and that's what we did.
You know,
and don't you also swear by the marble rye at the American Walmart, Ron?
the rye bread, yeah. That's,
the rye bread.
Yeah.
You know, I don't generally buy
No,
liquor.
not the other rye. There you go.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I think I get eyebrows from the border guards because even when I'm away for a week or two, if I vacation in the States extensively, I don't usually buy liquor coming home.
You go to Vegas a lot.
New Orleans twice.
Oh,
going again, but I'll go for a week or two at a time. And yeah, I like.
But Joe, I'm still amazed. You buy groceries across the border
constantly. I buy now.
It's worth. Oh my.
I don't know how.
Selection.
Portino's is across
I'll tell you,
the
for
street
example,
from
I eat Luna bars for breakfast. They're a high protein. I'm a vegetarian, whatever. It's a high protein bar. 89 cents. A box of 15 for $13 US. They're $2.99 at Goodness Me per bar. It's a drastic difference. More than 60% off.
Not all groceries are cheaper over there.
Not all, but selectively.
The butter, dairy products.
Oh, dairy. No. See, they have different rules.
Well, no, they don't have dairy board. We have dairy boards here and wheat boards here that control prices. I think they're saying they protect the farmer.
I'm not even talking about prices. I'm talking about the actual. There's a bovine growth hormone that's legal in the U.S. that's illegal in the rest of the world called Monsanto or RBGH. They inject it in. You're giving me that eye. I know. You couldn't pay me to consume
so
American
tasty,
dairy.
Joe.
No, American dairy is just
no,
done.
I don't mean American dairy. I just mean that. That growth hormone.
You know, am I the only one?
Consumer.
I feel so undemocratic here on this panel this evening because, like,
we're
horrible cross-border shoppers.
No, you're a selfish beast. There's no doubt about it.
And you're looking for a bargain. You're looking. It's your dollar, and you have every right to spend it.
You know what? When you get sick, you can go across the border for your OHIP too.
Because I'm telling people that they're silly to think that Canadian prices should change so fast. And yet I'm pulling a two-face, and I'm...
You're a hypocrite.
You probably shop in Europe.
Well, no, that's my mother more than me, Ron.
Than the States, but...
And don't you have people shopping for you? You don't have a professional...
Shop.
Wait, you're standing in lines?
But it's interesting to be an ethical shopper in the U.S. is a completely, it's a lot more research. And I know I sound a little bit flaky, but the fact is I do prefer organics, and I do not choose to spend my money on products that... You'll hear a lot about the U.S. Frankenfood market. They have the strangest things in the U.S., like packaged macaroni Kraft dinner that's pre-cooked, but it's on the shelf and it's good till like 2011, and you scratch your head and you wonder, how do they make it's not even food, and they have different standards to which they're allowed to make foods.
Well, that's why Americans seem like different beasts. Like, I guess we were just talking about Applebee's.
It's a foreign country to us, and but
it's a different world.
People are still choosing to go across the border, spend their hard-earned dollars that they make here, and spend their dollars over in the States or any other country that they so wish. They're looking for a bargain. They're not feeling sorry for, geez, I feel sorry for the Bay up here. If I go across the border, I'm afraid that the Bay will lose some money or they'll shut down. They're not even thinking
Do you think
about
there
it
will
yet.
ever be? Do you think there will ever be? Remember that whole Buy American logo back in the '80s, where they were trying to encourage Americans to buy American products? Do you think there will ever be a Canadian Buy Canadian?
What's manufacturing? Unless you go to Copley Noise and buy.
Manufactured in
No,
Canada.
there's
Darn.
Joe.
Those suits.
It's a very good question.
Those suits are made here.
Manufactured in Canada is about the package, and there was a whole bunch of issues around food packaging. That if the package is larger in weight than its contents, or costs more to manufacture than what it is, then it's made in Canada. Like, there's 1,000,001 loopholes when you're seeing made in Canada where it's actually repackaged in English and French but comes from China. You have no idea what is made in Canada.
All I can tell you, Loren, is that that I always try in my business. I always try to buy Canadian. I always do.
Yeah.
You can't do it for the whole thing, and it's true. People will come in and say, well, this candle, why is this candle $3.49? I can get a candle at the dollar store for $1.
Yeah.
And I say, because that one's crap.
Yeah.
And they're like, we know, but we want this one for $1. No. Yeah. That's not going to happen.
And it's
the things that are produced in China, things that aren't good for you. People will pay less for junk because it's
They
less.
should change the dollar store to the China store, because every single item in the dollar store is made in China.
And you look at those things and you think, how is this manufactured? First of all, you have to get the raw materials, you have to produce it, you have to pay someone to make it, you have to ship it all the way to Canada, and still you're charging $1 for a 6-pack of shooter glasses.
Yeah.
How does that work?
And our dollar is got more buying power in China.
Yeah.
Because it's now everyone wants to, if you're buying with a dollar that's higher than a U.S. dollar, you have more purchasing power even for those importers. So our fruit and vegetables throughout this winter that are going to be bought in the States and brought back up here to Canada, even from in Mexico, where we get Mexican tomatoes brought in the dead of winter. We should see some bargains in those areas, because we're paying with Canadian dollars now that are worth a lot more than the American greenback.
We've only got about 10 minutes left, and I'd really like to hear from people in the manufacturing industry, or people that have small businesses, and see what they have to say. But we do have someone on the line as well. Paul, are you there?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, good evening.
Hi there.
I just wanted to make a comment with regards to the retail sector. Most of the retail sector, they're purchasing, for example, suits, fragrances, whatever the case may be, is made a year in advance, because it's all seasonal. Therefore, the prices that they're getting at the time when they were purchasing does not reflect the American or the Canadian dollar as of present. Therefore, in the retail sector, you have to catch up. So if we were buying things for springtime next year, we were paying the American prices at the current rate. Thereafter, you are reflecting your prices currently. So if we're going to go purchase, for example, products for winter next year, we're paying in Canadian dollars now, which is stronger. While as before then, a year ago, we didn't have the dollar as strong as it was right now.
But Paul, it's not about fair pricing. It's about changing your pricing to lure the customers back in.
No,
why would we want to lose? Why are we going to lose out?
No, you're going to lose out by not having the customers come in. And a show of good faith, whether or not Walmart legitimately can cut 20% of their pricing, they're just trying to retain their market share.
We're not talking Walmart, we're talking Canadian companies. And if we're buying in American dollars a year in advance, then we're not going to reflect that pricing as of current day.
Well, thank you.
Just, you know what, Paul, in order for retailers to keep whatever customer base they have now, instead of making a 50% markup, they're going to have to work for a 30% markup to keep those customers here.
Ron,
That's not the case. That is honestly not the case.
No, it's not the case. But in order for those retailers to maintain their customer base, they're going to have to do something. Otherwise, those customers are gone.
Anyway, Paul, thank you very much. I do see where you're coming from, and I agree with you. There is no way, but sorry, wait 1 second. Like, because I'm in this situation, I've already purchased.
I realize that.
I've already purchased. These are my prices. A Boxing Day, perhaps I'll put them down. But I give things out at a fair price. If I have to drop my prices 20%, So what do I do with my employees now that I'm not even making enough? I'm just making enough money to cover the costs of the stuff I just bought.
That's not my problem.
I was in retail myself.
And
so
if you
I
cared that
understand.
much, you wouldn't go across the border. You would be
But I'm going
hardcore
across the
about
border
it.
for different things.
No, I
for different
understand
things.
that.
But Lauren, what I'm saying is, a business like Walmart is a large business that can say, okay, we're going to take a loss of this percentage.
No, but their shareholders don't want to hear that.
You're missing the whole
This
point.
smacks of GM when the North American automotive market decided to start selling cars at cost in order to keep their share by GM, and you saw this like family say, but get our family pricing, because I would prefer to buy a Subaru or you drive a Honda or whatever, because Japanese-made cars were selling like hotcakes where North American cars weren't. This is what you're talking about, and look at the industry now.
The customer is selfish, and he's not going to come into your store and ask for your books and let's work out what's a fair price here. It's a matter of it's a matter of perception.
But to keep your customers, you're going to have to lower your prices to the point where, like Tara said, you're not making.
Tara's in a different situation. It's more about service in that store. I've been there.
Oh, thank you.
I'm talking about your mother.
But to keep your customers, maybe you're going to have to take a hit in the short term to keep them in the long term, but then cross your fingers and hope.
You just mentioned service in the States. They are all over you. I mean, they can't do enough for you. You go to a store here, what do you want?
On their cell phone.
Even if they...
And they're probably getting paid more here than they are over there.
Sure they are. Because the minimum wage is like $5.50 there compared to...
Service is better, portions are bigger, everything's quicker. People are friendlier. No, give me a green card. Let's go.
See, but once again, I mean, in the short term, if this is just continuing for a few more months, the Bank of Canada isn't going to do much about it, and we'll just see things riding high.
And that does it for our Loonie Talk tonight on the Opinionators. Thank you very much for your calls and your interactivity here tonight on Cable 14. Just a programming note, November the 23rd, we've got some Bulldog action. Hamilton Bulldogs right back on Cable 14 with AHL Live. The Marlies are at the Dog Pound, and so are we. Hope you can tune in for that action. Hockey action at its best, pro hockey here in Hamilton at 7:30. Also, OUA MAC action. B-ball at its best at a MAC this weekend. The men's game, 7 o'clock this Saturday night. The women at 7 o'clock on Sunday night. I am Jason Farr, and I will be back with the Chief of Police at 7 o'clock live here on Cable 14 for Police Watch here on Thursday night. You want to be a cop? Females need only apply. Or perhaps we want to know just how many 50 or overs have been impounded in town so far. Those answers, and if you've been looking to talk to a cop, why not talk to the top cop? It's only once a month, live for an hour. Police Watch here on Cable 14, 7 o'clock this Thursday night. I'll be back at it then right here. Thank you to our volunteers, our 4 opinionators, and all the staff here on Cable 14. Good night.